I think what's happening. Propaganda.
Most Americans used to call themselves Republican or Democrat, but these days more call themselves independent. But what does that mean exactly?
I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, I'm just independent.
Translation, I'm too lazy to examine what defines both sides, but to make myself sound enlightened and above the fray, I'll claim to be an independent.
I'm sick of both parties, so politics as usual.
Definition 2, independence is defined by people who sit in judgment of the other two parties. I totally understand. Too many Democrats and Republican representatives suck. People reject them and claim to be independent. But let me be a little more specific as to why they suck. Democrats are typically associated with being liberal, and they suck for being liberals. Republicans are typically associated with being conservative, but they suck because they haven't been being conservative. And to this idea that libertarians can fix America is like saying you can fix bad breath with a urinal cake. Lack of fiscal and social conservatism has been a big part of the problem, not a lack of libertarianism. Remember, y'all, libertarians are just liberals that don't have a love-hate relationship with capitalism. The Constitution does not say that the government can tax the fruits of our labor or impose an income tax, which makes total sense because the government would bleed the people dry like they're doing now as they defy the Constitution. Side note, being a so-called fiscal conservative doesn't make you a conservative. There's that other part of being socially conservative. Please leave conservatism alone. Please don't try to twist it to fit your image. So anyway, pretty much only on the fiscal aspects do libertarians identify themselves with conservatives. Other than that, they blow their nose with the Constitution. Whether they're blowing snot into it or rolling it up to snort the cocaine they think should be legal. They want drugs legal, prostitution legal, they want defense spending cuts, things they have more in common with liberals than they do conservatives. Things that also make for bigger government as more bureaucracies would sprout up, more regulations, and more taxes. I also told y'all that the black market would thrive if you made drugs legal because they would target minors. Libertarians say that's ridiculous because there isn't a lot of illegal alcohol sales to minors. That's because it's not quite as easy to sell alcohol to minors. I reckon it'd be kind of hard to sneak around a cooler selling beers to kids or trying to smuggle tall cans in your trench coat. And I don't think putting them in little baggies would help much either. What's up, little homie? I got that nickel sip. Oh, I see you got a little hair on your chest. You must want that dime sip. Then they talk about things like this.
And when you take this back to human society, you know, the fact is over the past 30 years, crime rates have gone down. Sex crime rates have gone down.
Now keep in mind, condom sales have increased and prescriptions for birth control pills have increased. And I don't mean for just controlling acne. The reason why sex crimes are going down is because consensual sex is going up. I mean, didn't they just credit Madonna for bringing down the whole virgin whore complex?
Go back to Madonna, who was this great person who blew up the virgin whore complex.
The entertainment industry has made sure that people are having more sex. The entertainment industry is made up of mostly liberals. Those same liberals who hate the wealthy so much, yet they love to promote sex. Why? Because a lot of it has to do with them being very miserable people who are trying to sedate their misery by using other people for sex. And misery loves company, so they want everybody else to sink in it with them. Oh, and promoting sex makes them wealthy, that thing that they hate other people for being. Now check this out.
Tipper Gore thought this music was satanic, that we were teaching, the Prince was teaching people how to masturbate.
The American Family Association says Glee glamorizes homosexual behavior. It can turn...
Done and done.
Even further, I mean, in 1954, there were Senate hearings on comic books because comic books were felt to be destroying the youth of this great nation because they were so gruesome. They were horror comics, and, the country was going to collapse. That hasn't happened.
These independent libertarians are acting like pop culture entertainment has no influence on society and that it's ridiculous to think that entertainment has no influence on sexual orientation, promiscuity, violence, or waning faith in our country, yet they credit American entertainment for its influence on the rest of the world to rise up against their government.
What do you mean he's right? What does music have to do with a free world?
Well, I think, oh, freedom, what does it mean? When you go overseas, I think that word really has a meaning.
Absolutely. I mean, I think our greatest export in this country
It's not steel, it's popular culture.
There's a whole subculture of Egyptian metalheads called Metallians, and they've been fighting for free speech to bang their heads. And there's a whole hip-hop culture in Morocco and these places. There's a reason why the Velvet Revolution is called the Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia.
It's quite evident that these people are very selective about when entertainment has an influence. They say we conservatives are saying the sky is falling when we say that, yes, the entertainment industry is having an effect on the culture in a lot of negative ways.
We've been exercising this personal liberty certainly since the 18th century, and the sky doesn't fall.
Let me tell y'all a little something about a falling sky. The sky is huge, and if it falls, you wouldn't be able to detect it. And should it get to a point where you can detect it, it'll be much too late to get out of the way. But I digress. The sky is not falling, but a lot of American people are, and they're trying to drag the rest of us down with her. And as much as I respect Reagan, I get tired of hearing the quote that the government is the problem. No, it isn't. The problem has become the people who put these people in power. We get the government we deserve. Please forgive my cynicism, but our government just doesn't appear out of thin air. So, back to these independent libertarian folks. While America ranks 25th in math, 14th in reading, and 17th in sciences, these people are hung up on kids expressing themselves.
Where you go to a high school now and there are thousands of different possibilities. There are, goth punks who are also Christian, and skaters who do this and that, and B-girls who are really boys. I mean, it's just exploding all over the place.
And why is this good? A lot of people would say, oh, this is evil.
Yeah, no, I mean, people say that all the time. The reason why it's good is because it allows us as individuals to do things that we want to do.
You go to school to get educated and not indoctrinated, by the way. These kids are fed a poor sense of priority.
You go to school to learn, not for a fashion show.
Now, as a conservative, I encourage expression. You want to wear funky clothes? You want to have a hairstyle that makes you look like a cartoon? More power to you. As long as your report card has straight A's on it first, and you actually understand your lesson and not just memorize notes for a test. If you got that down, then I think you've earned the privilege to express yourself within reason. Piercing your ears and stretching them out wide enough to fit a hamster wheel in them would be an example of not being reasonable. But these cats put precedence on expression. No, these kids need to be taught to handle their business first so they can afford to express themselves. Right now, they can't afford squat, financially, intellectually, prudently, or emotionally. What else about this panel got on my nerves? Oh, this mutant analogy.
If you think back to the early 50s or something, there were blacks and whites. Then you have somebody like Tiger Woods, who will put aside the sex addiction for now, but when he rose to prominence, he called himself a Cablinasian, that he was a hybrid of Caucasians, of blacks, of Indians, and of Asians. And that's more what we are. We're mongrelized, we're hybridizing, and we're constantly experimenting and trying out new ways to express ourselves or to show ourselves.
Oh. So because my blood is a mix of Nubian blood and Filipino blood, I'm a mutant? I'm pretty sure I still qualify as a human species. There's no mutation as far as I know, and as far as my marriage goes, though my wife may be a different ethnicity than me, I didn't marry her as an experiment. I'm sorry, man. I just really don't like the way libertarians think.